Today on Investigate TV Plus, a ritual returns like clockwork twice a year. But some say the time has come to stop changing with the seasons.
It's a remnant of time that we are afraid to change and drop.
We take an in-depth look at the debate over daylight saving, how the time change impacts your health, and solutions to help you beat the clock.
Plus, she was lured by what appeared to be a promising work-from-home opportunity.
They gained my confidence in a lot of ways.
But her dream job turned out to be a shakedown.
Thousands of my own money were gone from my account.
We uncover the tricks used to mask an employment scam and give you the tools to keep from getting duped.
And keeping it real.
When I look back, I remember so many experiences from my hair. So I know this is where I'm supposed to be.
A woman learns to love herself by embracing her natural hair.
In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus.
It happens twice a year, every year, in almost every state in the U.S. Our clocks spring forward an hour each March and then fall back an hour each November. Daylight saving time, the biannual time change that can be loved or loathed, depending on who you ask. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. There's major momentum toward ditching the practice. 62% of Americans want to eliminate the back and forth. But what they can't agree on is which clock should be kept year-round.
Reporter Heather Graff digs into the long-standing debate over daylight saving and asks experts how all of this can impact your health.
For more than 5 decades, Donnie Sobel has had his eyes locked on the clock. Repairing, restoring, and selling these keepers of time at his family-owned shop here in Virginia.
Every day, it's different. There's never 2 days in a row that are copies of each other.
And perhaps Donnie's least favorite time of the year,
It's a pain in the neck.
is the 1-hour shift that marks the start and end of daylight saving.
It's just a routine that doesn't need to happen.
Donnie's disdain of the biannual clock switching in large part has to do with the impact it has on his business.
After the time has changed, we get the phone calls for people that have incorrectly set their clock ahead or back. They do it in the wrong way. They can't figure out why their clock is striking one different than the hour hand is pointing to.
And aside from the malfunctioning clocks he then has to fix, Donnie doesn't recall anyone in his store being a fan of springing ahead or falling back.
And we've done our own surveying of opinions for a long time. Nobody finds it necessary.
And his customers aren't alone. Over the last few years, 19 states have approved bills or resolutions that would make daylight saving time year-round if Congress were to allow such a change. But it's not quite that simple.
It was made uniform in 1966.
David Prerau is a daylight saving historian and says that federal law under the Uniform Time Act permits states to opt out of daylight saving, as Arizona and Hawaii have done. That means they don't turn their clocks forward an hour in March and instead stay on standard time. But states do not currently have the authority to enact permanent daylight saving time.
You've been studying this for decades. Why do you think daylight saving time is so contentious?
Well, it's because it affects every single person. In the spring, summer, and fall, if you move up the clock an hour, it moves the sunrise and sunset back an hour, and you lose an hour of sleep. Now, you gain an hour of sleep, of course, in the fall.
As for the origin of daylight saving, he says it dates back more than a century.
During World War I, the Germans put in daylight saving time for the first time to save energy for the war effort. And when the U.S. got involved with the war in 1918, we put in daylight saving time as well.
And in this timeline about time, Prerau says 1974 is especially significant. That's when an energy crisis led the U.S. to try year-round daylight saving for the first time ever. It was not a success. Unpopular because for many Americans, it meant dark mornings in the winter and the policy was repealed just 10 months later.
If the sun is rising at 9 a.m., it means everybody's waking up in the dark, going to work in the dark, and most importantly, to a lot of people, sending their kids to school in the dark.
That failed experiment is something he tries to remind people of, especially on Capitol Hill, where a bipartisan group of lawmakers have repeatedly pushed for permanent year-round daylight saving time, saying it allows for more outdoor activity after school and work, and pointing to studies that found lower crime rates when there's an extra hour of evening daylight.
People taking their evening walks feel more safe.
You want to have the ability to spend more time in the evenings outdoors.
Their proposed Sunshine Protection Act unanimously passed the Senate in 2022, but never made it to a vote in the House. And here's where the time change debate takes another twist.
Permanent daylight savings time is the worst possible option.
Dr. Emerson Wickwire is a sleep specialist at the University of Maryland School of Medicine and one of many experts who believe the twice-yearly time change should be eliminated, except they feel permanent standard time is the way to go. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine, in this position statement, explains that standard time aligns best with human circadian biology.
The circadian rhythm is very, very fine-tuned. It's very sensitive. What permanent daylight savings time does is it exposes our bodies and brains to light at exactly the wrong time. This leads to chronic sleep loss and adverse health events ranging from cardiovascular events, including stroke and heart attack, even to symptoms of depression and suicide attempts.
His other big concern, from a health perspective, has to do with those late winter sunrises associated with year-round daylight saving.
If you had to rank your biggest argument against permanent daylight saving time, what would that be?
It would be this places our children at risk. They will be standing at the school bus in the pitch black.
Donnie Sobel will tell you he's more than ready to ditch the switch.
Pick one.
Just don't ask him which clock should be kept.
I don't have a preference. I'll go either way.
For that answer, he says only time will tell.
Reporter Heather Graff joins us now. Heather, what can families do to try to ease the transition into the time change?
Tisha, health experts say it can be especially tough on kids because they need more sleep. But there are a few steps we can take to help the body adjust. About 2 to 3 days prior to the clock switching, it's recommended you gradually shift your sleep and wake times and go to bed about 15 minutes earlier each night. You want to aim for 7 hours of sleep for adults and 8 hours of sleep for teens. And the day after we spring forward, head outdoors for some early morning sunlight. Experts say that will help regulate your internal clock. A survey done by the American Academy of Sleep Medicine found more than 55% of Americans report feeling tired after the time change.
Still ahead, a former combat veteran who received a hand up during a difficult period was inspired to give back.
The people need to know that they are loved, they are wanted, they're needed, and that they're not alone.
How his work at a food bank provides more than meals to those in need.
But first, scammers target job seekers by gaining their confidence.
They were very good at making me feel comfortable.
Then they strike.
I didn't really mind wiring the money because they gave me a check.
We show you the red flags a career opportunity may be a con.
Our in-depth coverage continues. You can get connected to Investigate TV Plus on all social media platforms.
When you're looking for work, a text or an email about what sounds like your dream job may seem promising.
Yeah, but the listing could be a disguise hiding a scam designed to steal your personal information and money. A consumer advocacy organization found from 2022 to 23, job scams increased 118%. It also found scammers have changed how they approach job seekers.
Consumer investigator Carice Jackman spoke with a woman who experienced an employment scam and shares tips on how you can avoid this scheme.
They're very good. They gained my confidence in a lot of ways.
Amisha, who didn't want to share her last name for fear the scammers will come after her and for her privacy, still can't believe the lengths fraudsters went through to obtain her information.
They were very good at making me feel comfortable and preying on the fact that I was new to the job market.
Last year, while looking for a job on LinkedIn, Amisha applied for a remote position for a company she thought was in Oklahoma. The day she applied, she got an email from a woman who told her they were interested and sent over a questionnaire. After submitting the questionnaire, Amisha was offered a job and was told they would be sending her a laptop to work from home.
She let me know that they would be supplying it, didn't have anything to worry about, but because we were in such a hurry to get started, it would be more efficient if I wired the money to a vendor near me to get the work laptop. I didn't know much about work laptops, so I didn't really mind wiring the money because they gave me a check.
The fake job sent her a check. She deposited the money in her bank, and once the money in her account increased, she wired the money over to the vendor, but was told the vendor was sold out. They said they would do the process over again with a new vendor, but this time the check was put on hold with the bank, so the fake job asked Amisha to pay for the laptop herself.
And then when I finally got to check with my bank, not only had the check not cleared, thousands of my own money were gone from my account.
Amisha just experienced what's known as an employment scam. Amisha isn't alone. According to the Identity Theft Resource Center's most recent report, job scams are climbing. James Lee, Chief Operating Officer with the ITRC, says they've also seen people go through an application process, only to find out it was fake.
Somebody thinks they're actually dealing with an HR department, when in fact they're dealing with a professional identity criminal.
To avoid these scams, Melanie McGovern with the Better Business Bureau says if you're not going through rounds of interviews, beware.
There will be phone calls, there will be interviews in person. If it's just, hey, download this texting app and then we'll talk to you that way, or on a free texting website, that's a big red flag.
Also, if you get an email or text like this one offering you a job, report the scam to the BBB or the FTC and don't reply. Amisha no longer feels ashamed. Now she's empowered to warn others about bad actors looking to take advantage of people just looking for employment.
Another tip, look up the job on the company's actual website, give them a call and say, I was recruited to work for your company, and ask if they actually have the position open. If they say no, then you'll know it was a scam.
You can also look up the company on sites like Google, Glassdoor, and the Better Business Bureau website, bbb.org, to learn about its reputation. Her life felt tangled by what she thought society considered beautiful.
So of course that messed with my self-esteem.
So she went to extreme lengths to fit the mold.
So I opted for getting shots in my scalp. And did they hurt? Yes.
Still to come, the moment she was inspired to let her true self grow.
But first, food insecurity is a 24-hour problem. We show you how a South Carolina food bank brings dignity and convenience to those in need.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime, streaming online. Get the app for Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. They're free to download.
Just putting food on the table is a struggle for millions of Americans.
In fact, 18 million U.S. households were food insecure at some time during 2023, and nearly 40% of low-income households lack access to healthy food. But one group in South Carolina is providing an innovative way to make food more accessible no matter the time of day.
Reporter Lauren Korn shows us how they're working after hours to serve the community one meal at a time.
Brandon Oates navigates the pantry.
I like to double bag.
Selecting the requested items before carting them to these refrigerated lockers.
All right.
And carefully placing them inside. He grocery shops with intention.
And then we shut that door.
Because these groceries are not for him.
We are a handout to a lot of people, but we also, our main focus is to be a hand up to people.
Brandon is the executive director of Shepherd's Table, a Christian nonprofit with a mission to serve up hope and comfort one meal at a time.
We've always been set up kind of cafe style where people can kind of come in and feel comfortable or feel at home and have a little dignity.
But the organization wanted to serve even after the plates were cleared, teaming up with the Low Country Food Bank to be part of the Food Locker program as the first nonprofit in the state to provide free and healthy groceries after hours.
That's answering our, what we're praying about.
Brandon walked us through the online process.
So they go on the order ahead website, they select the shepherd's table. It brings us up a list, we just print that out and then we get started. Our chicken and our beef, they want one of each.
They collect the groceries from their own pantry. Shepherd's Table launched the free store in January.
And sometimes all it takes is just a hug.
And Brandon found the perfect volunteer to run it.
It's a lot of love up here. This is the sign-in sheet.
Becca Gaskins Mejia is a former teacher who got hurt on the job.
I said, Lord, I got to do something. I just can't sit home.
Trading one passion for another, also spending the last 7 years nourishing their neighbors.
When you come in, I have a volunteer that walks with you, and we have what we call our cheat sheet, so we base it on family size. The people need to know that they are loved, they are wanted, they're needed, and that they're not alone.
Brandon says he can relate, one struggling with the same feelings firsthand.
So I was a combat veteran. I didn't reach out for help. I struggled with PTSD and I self-medicated. I was a heroin addict for a while and I was homeless for almost 3 years.
Until he got guidance from Jimbo Boudreau of Free Ministry.
He gave me a hand up and I decided from then on to kind of dedicate my life to being a hand up to other people. So canned sweet peas.
Now with a master's in social work and a licensed social worker, he's proud to work and serve in a place with like-minded people.
Around here, everybody hugs everybody.
Whose only goal is to transform lives for the better.
That has been a real blessing to be able to be a part of. Just to be a vessel for God. That's all we're trying to do.
We got to stand together as a community and hold each other up.
Up next, she's breaking beauty barriers and shattering world records. A woman is inspired to show her pride by keeping her hair natural.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime online. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel at Investigate TV. You can catch stories and full episodes. A Louisiana woman uses her larger-than-life hair to make a fashion statement.
Avon Dugas wants to inspire young black girls to love their natural hair as it is now, explaining how she didn't when she was young.
Dear Sophie Lou, I'm writing to apologize for how I treated you over the years. When I was old enough to know you, I remember thinking how I couldn't wait to change you.
Listening to Avon Dugas, you might think she's saying sorry to a long-lost friend.
I couldn't wait to hide you for special occasions, like recitals and Easter Sunday.
But Sophie Lou wasn't someone she fought with to get back on track. Sophie Lou is what she calls her hair. Avon wasn't always fond of her natural hair. In fact, she feels the need to apologize after years of abuse.
Society and lack of representation had broken us all. We had been conditioned into this negative way of looking at you. We were so wrong. The beginning is, I'm a little girl, I want a perm. I want a perm because my mama has the perm. That's why I always say representation matters.
Chemically relaxed, easier to control, and by society's standards at the time, more beautiful. But the chemicals did so much damage to Avon's scalp, she needed a doctor's help.
And so I opted for getting shots in my scalp. And did they hurt? Yes. I got shots all here and in the crown of my head and all around.
It was a slow and painful process that Avon admits was about much more than hair.
I went from having this, healthy hair from as a child to this really damaged hair. It would not grow out. So of course that messed with my self-esteem. Now what I could do,
It wasn't until years later that Avon charted a new path, one that embraced who she truly was at heart.
The natural hair gods and God was like, this is it. This is what you do. Because hair was my whole life. When I look back, I remember so many experiences from my hair. So I know this is where I'm supposed to be.
Right here in the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest female afro. When styled in an afro hairstyle, Avon's hair measures 9.84 inches tall and more than 10 inches wide. That's nearly 5.5 feet around.
It was always about the message. When I found out about the record that I actually had won, I was like, literally, I said, ooh, now I can, go out there and talk about how little girls don't have to go through what I went through. Probably 95% of social media is not real. And I promise you, you do not want to live up to the standards of what you see on social media.
Today, Avon spends time with young people talking about hair care, self-love, and setting your own standards of beauty.
I'm loving the confidence that y'all have now because
Avon's philosophy on hair echoes the old saying, you can't be what you can't see. That's why she takes being seen as her true self so seriously. A gift to Sophie Lou and all the little girls who are watching.
Today, I apologize to you. You're beautiful, you are strong. You make me feel beautiful and strong, and most of all, you are me. I'm sorry, so embarrassed, and I ask that you forgive me. Love, Avon.
Avon first gained her Guinness title in 2012. She set her most recent record 2 years ago in September of 2022. And to see it up close, she has so much hair and she loves it and takes great care of it.
Love it. Show it off. And I love her message to the kids about social media and just ignore it all. Some good messages there from her.
Absolutely.
Very nice. All right, that's it for us here at Investigate TV Plus. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Tisha Powell. Thanks for watching. On the next Investigate TV Plus, if left untreated, a common diagnosis can lead to deadly complications.
Does the idea of getting diabetes scare you?
Yes. Oh yeah. Because I want to be healthy.
We take an in-depth look at why the disease is growing and the work already underway to reverse this trend.